for those of you that joined the call and don't know fully about it, today is extra special because I'm bringing on my Time Hacker coaches. These are the coaches inside Time Hackers that hold down the fort, deliver amazing coaching and blow our minds every single week. So I can see some hands raised. I'm going to promote you guys to panelists. Welcome, welcome. So good to see you all. Amazing. And hello. So I'm going to get them on and get them to introduce themselves. And we're going to talk a little bit about how they became Time Hacker coaches, what that looked like, what the experience is like for them, what the community means for them. We are going to answer your questions. I've also received some interesting ones via email. And if as we go, you want to type a question, you can literally just hover over the screen and at the bottom, click Q&A. And you can ask questions anonymously, or you can ask questions as yourself. You can also raise your hand if you want to get brought onto the screen and let us see your lovely face. And you can do so without, you don't need to look a certain way or be dressed a certain way or have no noise or no life or whatever. You just need to be able to be seen and be heard if that's the case. We are also live streaming on Facebook. We are good to go. Okay, lovely people. Hello, everyone. Hi, you're all muted. Who's going to unmute and introduce themselves?
I'll do that.
Yes.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bridget, and I am a coach for conservators and craftspeople, helping them earn more money, have more time. And I also have a business, a preservation business, making boxes for books and manuscripts. And I have a product I sell. So I've got all the things.
Yes. And actually, since you went first, I'm just going to tell people how Bridget was the first ever Time Hacker coach. And this is the exact story of how it happened. Because I think we need like perfect plans, and we'll all speak about how you all got brought in, but because it was similar, but we need perfect plans and we need training and we need all of this stuff. But actually, I got caught up in a traveling situation that meant that I wouldn't be back in the country during COVID. Maybe this happened to a few of you. And I think I just DM'd Bridget and was like, can you coach on Monday? And I think this was probably like this Saturday. I don't think it was much earlier than that.
I don't think it gave me too long to think about it, thank goodness.
Yeah.
So I was terrified.
You were terrified, but then what happened? Do you remember?
Well, I remember my side of the story.
Should I tell you what happened for the rest of us?
Yeah, do.
I mean, it blew everyone's mind, right? I remember coming back into the group and everyone was so blown away by the coaching, by the way you'd handled it, by all of it. It was such a, I mean, I even remember some of the coaching from that first call about like, you know, lose, win. We speak about that now all the time in the community. And I think it was such a powerful example for me, even where I was probably thinking, I need to, you know, how am I going to bring in coaches? When is going to be the right time? All of this stuff that we teach about. And it was like, no, life is going to happen. Yeah. And then it's going to happen. And then it's going to be even better than if I was coaching myself. And that was like a lot of the feedback that we got was it was so powerful. So thank you for going first.
Super powerful for me.
Yeah. Amazing.
Like a massive shift for me.
Yeah. Amazing. Who else wants to go ahead and introduce themselves?
I'll go next.
Yeah.
I'm Shady Curry. I am a dating coach for divorced women, and I help them kind of declutter their past thoughts about relationships so that they can create the relationship they actually want. We do all the things, all the dating things, the apps, meeting people offline, nurturing commitment with the person they choose. It's pretty fun. I really love my niche. I think it's like, I feel like it chose me and I'm so glad it did. Yeah, that's what I do. And I've been a time hacker for over 18 months now.
Yeah. And yeah, everyone else became a time hacker coach. Oh no, was it the same?
Time hacker coach. I think when you went on maternity leave.
Yeah.
Is when I became a time hacker coach. So
yeah, I think so. Yeah, amazing. So good. And how was it for you when you first got the invitation?
Oh my God, I was all in. I was like, what? Yes. I don't know what this is gonna be like, but it's gonna be amazing. Yeah, it really has been. And I think one of the things we've all experienced is we're coaching, but then we're like all learning at the same time. And I have really enjoyed being raising my hand, like even when you've been gone, and getting coaching from the Time Hackers coaches. And I remember someone made a comment about that. Is like, well, this is really cool. Like, you're coaching one week and then the next week you're asking for coaching and getting coaching. You don't see that in a lot of coaching containers, but this has been just such an equal plane where we're all learning from each other all the time. And I think that contributes so much to our growth.
Oh my gosh, I love that you said that. And it's so true. And I think it is like time is this area of our life that things are always going to change. Our roles are always going to change. We're going to, you know, maybe have kids and then have an empty nest. We're going to have a job, or like, it's just constantly evolving and changing. And that's why I think it's so powerful. It's like continually applying the tools. And like you said, I think one of the key pillars of this community that I think is really important is a lack of hierarchy, a lack of like the fact that we are all equal. So I love that you touched on that. Thanks, Shady. Amazing. Who's next?
I can go.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm Kayla Celeste and I help people take action toward their goals. And I remember getting like the email that was like, hey, can you coach in the group? And my boyfriend was driving, I was in the car and I was like, just checking my email. And I was like, wait, what has happened? I don't know. And I was like super confused because it felt really fast and my brain wanted to like freak out about it. And one of the things it was like, I don't know, are you ready for this? Like, you know, and I think I'd only been in the like group for maybe a month, maybe two, something like that. And so I was like, okay, look, here's the deal. Like I just sat down and I wrote down all the models. I'm like, here's how I created this. I had no idea, but I just guessed and I had like tons of them, like 10 guesses of how I possibly created this. And I was like, so if I created it, then I'm definitely ready. And so then I was like, okay.
I love that. It's one of the most important things. I think so often we feel like life happens to us, and unfortunately as women so often we think good things happen to us, and it's like Vicky created this opportunity for you instead of taking ownership and responsibility. It's one of the things I think is in the Time Hackers modules. But I love how you just explained your process for how you did it. And I want everyone watching to think about something that you are proud of, that maybe you are saying you're in the right time at the right place, or a connection helped you, or whatever it is, and implement the process Kayla just spoke about. Like, actually, how are you taking responsibility? And then it becomes natural to step into it.
Right. Yeah.
So good. Naomi.
Hey everybody, my name's Naomi Stonia. I'm a relationship coach. I help you with all your relationships, not just your intimate one. And my passion is showing people how to make the changes without anyone else doing anything. And watching how it flows into your business. It creates a lot of success in our businesses when we clean up our personal relationships. And the other piece of the puzzle was cleaning up my relationship with time. That created a lot of success in my business. And just stepping into the most amazing thing about Time Hackers is just stepping into my authority. And what you have always taught us to do, Vicky, is just tear up the rule book. And you know, I am an expert in time. I'm a time hacker, and in this group we have been able to just tear up that rule book. And you know, Bridget went first, and it was just such a game changer for us when you know, I thought coaching a group was years away for me. And I will just never forget logging onto that call when Bridget appeared as the coach, and watching Bridget, it just broke all the rules for me. And, you know, it's like I've achieved another goal that I thought was years away. And that's being in this group and watching your progress, Vicky, has taught me that my brain will give time to the goal, and that's okay, because my brain doesn't know the facts, does it? So just letting go of timelines has created so much success for me. And you know, we sometimes we need to borrow other people's courage before we have our own. So when you asked me to coach time hackers, I didn't feel ready. I didn't feel capable, but I thought, okay, Vicky thinks I am. And so I'll just choose to trust her. And that got me in the room, and that got me coaching a group years before I believed I was ready. And it just, it's like speeding up your progress, I was so terrified for the entire day before I coached time hackers. And I just, that discomfort, you've always taught me, the more discomfort you're willing to experience, the faster you will progress. So it just makes it, you can tolerate all that discomfort when it's going to speed shit up. I don't want to spend years getting there. I just want to do it now. So that's about 1 million concepts. 2 minutes.
Coming in hot on a Friday. I love it. No, I love it. It's so fun. And I remember that, actually, now you're speaking about it, Bridget, when I asked you to coach, you hadn't coached group ever before, and you were in the belief that like there was a certain process you had to follow and all of that. I remember that.
Yeah, totally. I thought years away from that.
Yes.
Literally, I was a new coach.
Timeline.
I haven't been certified that long.
Yeah. So good.
But actually, I've always, Bridget may not have like the coaching experience, but I have always seen Bridget as an authority on time. Like we joke, don't we? She is the original time hacker. So like for me, she is the best person to coach me on time.
Yeah, I mean, it's just brilliant. I think what's so powerful as well is when we, like what you touched on, when we start seeing ourselves the way each other see us. And you guys are the time hacker coaches, but I think this applies to everyone in the group. It's how we see everyone in the group. There's no like I say, there's no hierarchy.
I think it's an identity that we've all started to embrace, the time hacker identity. And I think that's really what came out when we became time hacker coaches, was like, okay, well, all we really need to do is remind everyone in the group that this is an identity that they step into.
Yes.
In whatever they bring to coaching. And it's an identity that we're all stepping into and that we're all living by. And I think that's really just made the coaching process seamless, because like, Vicky, you were like, okay, guys, here's a call. I love you. I believe in you. Bye-bye.
Yeah. So, I mean, can we speak about so my baby was a month early, but luckily we did that call and we decided that you guys would start a month early so I could be there and, give feedback. And obviously I wasn't there and I couldn't give the feedback, which I also think was perfect because you didn't need it. But we'd set it up so that you would start a month early. Like that was some time hacker magic. Trust me, that was set up.
What we've learned is there because when the way it shows up in my brain is like, I'm a time hacker. I make decisions. Like I just make decisions. My brain starts to be squirrely. I remember some of the things we repeat all the time. It doesn't take time, right? And so all the coaching was just reminding everyone in their own context of just those principles that we knew and we were applying, and that work, right? And that actually works. So
It's instant application. It's from the start. Just watching you being willing to do it messy. It was so liberating, like watching you switch mid-launch the type of group, and there was no issue. It wasn't an issue at all. To switch your entire container mid-launch was so liberating, because it's very clear to me, successful people implement immediately. They are willing to implement without it being perfect, and that was what got me taking action and has just broken all the time scale, all the safety beliefs and limiting beliefs around time scales, and got me more success more quickly than I ever, I'm 46. I never imagined I could this quickly do it.
That's so fun. Yeah. So for those of you that are maybe watching that are newer, Time Hackers used to be a 3-month mastermind that was more expensive even than it is now. And mid-launch, I realized this was my work. This is what I wanted to build community around. And so when I launched it the second time, halfway through the launch, I decided to just go for it there and then, instead of have people in and then do another 3 months. And yeah, I think it is fun. You know, especially with the online world, I think sometimes we look online and everyone's got like the fancy pictures and the amazing graphics and the like, you know, perfectly streamed email sequence. And Kayla actually supports me as well. So she can speak for a lot of, like, it is, I do work how I teach that we work. And there's no secret planning method behind it. Like, I literally work how we teach in Time Hackers. Where was I going with that?
Doing it messy.
There you go. Here we are.
I found it super liberating joining Time Hackers, and you hadn't even populated Time Hackers with any material.
And none of us cared.
Yeah, none of us cared.
None of us cared.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that, like, two things. One is the reason I didn't care that there weren't modules is because I had done that. I think you coached me one time when we were in a mastermind together, and I still have that video because I recorded it, and it's still like some of the best coaching I've ever gotten. Like, and it really speaks to the idea of time, is that I can have that 1 hour of coaching and go. I hadn't sold anything for like 6 weeks. I'd been like in a catatonic state for 6 weeks in my business. And then I got like, I don't even think it was an hour, I think it was like 45 minutes. It was ridiculously short, and it changed everything. And I went out, and someone that I hadn't talked to in 15 years found me on Facebook and paid that week. And then I sold my 6K program over and over after that. And I was just like, this is crazy. So that stayed with me. And I knew that, okay, I had seen your principles at work in that coaching and in my business. And so I was like, yeah, nope, I don't care what's in the program. I'm going to get coached by Vicky. The other thing I wanted to say was that I've actually implemented some of these ideas in my own coaching with my clients. It's a lot of what my clients talk about is, well, do I need to heal for 3 years or 6 months before I can date? And I have a client who is now in, she worked with me this year. She's now in, I think, I would say 8 weeks. They've been exclusive for about 8 weeks, and it's really amazing. And she met him. So we'd been working for about 3 months. The person she thought she was going to be with they ended up breaking up. And so she was in the middle of heartbreak. She had like a month where she was just really sad, heartbroken, her face broke out, but she stayed on the apps, which is one of my principles of like, that I've learned in Time Hackers. I was like, no. We just keep doing it messy. Your face is all broken out. You're sad, you're weepy. Stay on the apps. If you can't go out, that's fine, but just stay in the process. And she ended up talking with this guy for like a month on the app, her heartbreak month. Finally came out of it, and I was like, okay, fine, I'll go on a date. And he turned out to be the perfect guy, has a Tesla, owns his own home. Exactly what she was looking for.
Yeah.
Physically, they both work for the government. So like, there's just that compatibility. And I'm just like, and I know that principle of like helping my clients stay in it.
Yes.
Came from what I've learned in Time Hackers.
Yes, I love it. And I mean, I do think this to be true. You know, how we use our time is the number one determinant of any result we create. We all have time. It's something we all have. How we use it, what we give to it, not what it takes from us, what we choose to give to our time, where we choose to give our time. It is literally the number one determinant of the results across the different areas of our lives. So I love that you shared that. That's so fun.
Friends, what you just said reminds me of the Date Your Goal challenge.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Good.
It was so good. Yeah, I mean, we're going to launch it again. We're pretty excited to do it. Kayla and I even have some extra juicy bonuses coming with it that we're very excited to announce. People that are watching that don't know, we did so 2 years ago, whenever I first joined a business mastermind as an underdog and, you know, got told not to apply because I hadn't made enough money, I got in, and then we had a challenge to make a certain amount of money in 30 days, which was more money like than I'd made in my whole business, and let alone in 30 days. And I created this concept, like what Shady is saying, like what you apply in one area, you can apply to different. And I realized I'd met my husband and knew very fast that he was the one after 9 years of unsuccessful dating. And so I did a date your goal process for myself. And then I forgot, I created the 25K, I hit the goal, and then I put that whole process away. I forgot I'd even created it until this year, where we decided to formally create it and teach it. And it was amazing. It was so fun being in the group. So we're definitely going to bring it back. It's only accessible inside Time Hackers though. But yeah, I love that you mentioned that. We actually got a really interesting question through via email that I want us to discuss. So I'd love to hear about how you and the experts respond to your individual rhythms of rest and flow around work. So for context, I've found that I can have an all or nothing attitude, which we've seen a lot of in our group, definitely. And even when we think we've overcome it, it will come up in a different way. So we're right here with you. And now I'm trying to create a better balance. So all or nothing sounds like rest, 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 even when my soul's telling me that I can go, or go, 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 even when my soul is telling me I need space. So I'd love some inspiration from you about how you have found and yield your rhythm. Who wants to talk up?
Yeah, I can answer it. So one thing that I've like built through Time Hackers in this process is like this trust with myself. And so I had been going through like, what do I want? Believing that was the right answer. If it was easy, letting it be easy instead of hard, and like going through that. But even on the like panel with the people from the 15-hour workweek mastermind, it like broke my brain because there was a couple things that was said. Jackie said, I just questioned all my beliefs about time. I was like, okay, like I'm sure I still have some more. And then Vicky had said something about like, we will take the way that like people work in jobs and then we apply it to us in entrepreneurship without actually thinking about it. And I was like, okay, so what are all the things that I haven't even thought were like an option because I was just believing them? And some of them are like, you wake up at the same time every day, you work pretty much the same like each week, and like things like that. And I was like, wait, what if I just threw that out the window? And I was like, and that's when I started noticing, oh, there are some weeks that I do have more energy. How can I like use that? There are some weeks where I want more rest. How can I use that? And instead of making it look, we talk a lot about like, it doesn't have to be consistent. And that's how I was living my life. It's like, but each week is pretty consistent based off the last week. And so now it's like, oh, maybe some weeks I'm doing more of this certain thing, and some weeks I'm doing less, and maybe there's more rest and less rest, and just checking in with myself. Like, what do I think? Even noticing patterns and just really trusting that like whatever I decide is what I need. And then I can evaluate it after and change for next time. So
that last bit, right? It's like trusting, then evaluating and adjusting instead of I have to get it right now, which is going to put a lot of pressure and have us actually stop listening to our own needs. I love that.
So you see me now after doing an all-nighter at work last night. And that's the first all-nighter I've done in several years. But I had some work that had to be done while the Queen was still alive. And I missed that deadline. So I wanted to get it finished. So, but this all-nighter was so different to any other all-nighter that I've done. And I applied all my time hacking principles, and that thing about anything can be restful if you're present to it. And so last night I worked from 10:30 till 7 in the morning. I maintained flow pretty much constantly throughout that. I was doing something really complicated that I only had one opportunity to do it, and I nailed it. And that was because I applied the things we learn in Time Hackers. Get on board with yourself, decide, believe, keep going, even if it looks shitty, believe, keep going. And I had the most amazing night.
Yeah, you've got lots
the
of
work, got the work finished. Don't feel like shit.
Yeah.
Like, I won't be doing it again for a while, but
I mean, just your work sounds super cool. I'm like, oh, what was it while the queen was alive? But I love it.
yeah, they lots of boxes for
Mhm.
messages
Mhm.
about her death. So,
Mhm.
so I was supposed to have delivered those.
What I what I love about it is, for people watching, I think it's like showing that they apply to another type of work as well. I think often we're like, oh, I can see that for a coaching business because I'm a coach, so people can see me applying it as a coaching business. But I love that you shared how it applies to other types of work as well. And obviously we have other people in the community applying it to all different types of work as well. But that was a really powerful example. Thank you.
Yeah, what's changed for me is what I work on has changed. So I work on evaluating, failing. There's lots of failing, evaluating it and implementing it. So getting always getting all the learnings out of everything, so there actually is no failure, because I'm like, oh, I've learned so much, and so it's all so valuable. So the energy this creates, and then celebrating it all, so I conditioned the ability to celebrate in Time Hackers. And I'm actually an expert celebrator. It just suits me so well.
It does.
So everything's a celebration of learning and growth, and also building my discomfort muscle. And so all the rules are out the window. I don't have 9 to 5 Monday to Friday. That doesn't apply to me. I work very well on a Saturday and Sunday morning. I love working those times. And before I would have had drama. I shouldn't be working now. Shouldn't be working. I should be off. And then the other thing is on and off time. On and off time. So I'm off. It's real rest. I'm on. And just like Bridget says, doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're resting or working. If you're in resistance, it's a waste of time. And so that's all gone, that resistance and that plowing through. There's no longer any plowing through and forcing it. So yeah, I work in a very, very, very different way as a result of Time Hacker. So I'm hugely more productive. So there is that real change in the way I work. So, but all the productivity measures have come from mindset. There's none of the strategic sort of business planning stuff. It's just the productivity has been created simply through the mindset work of Time Hackers.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you.
So for me, one of the things that I guess you could say I sort of set a boundary for myself, because I came into Time Hackers with a lot of pressure, like scarcity and pressure. And so now my big thing is when I feel the pressure, that's like my stop sign. Fear isn't the stop sign. Pressure is. So when I feel pressure, because it still comes up, I don't know, every day, I guess, probably. I'm like, oh, okay. We have to do this other work first, because like Naomi said, whatever I create from pressure it's not going to create the thing. It's just going to create this cycle where I'm pushing myself, I'm burning my nervous system out, and I'm not creating the results I want. So pressure is sort of my warning signal that I have certain thoughts, that I've forgotten certain principles, that I'm not working from inspiration. And I think the big thing for me has been being willing to slow down to deal with the pressure, to be like, okay, you woke up in the morning, what you really feel like doing is going for a walk in the sun, but you're like, oh my God, if I don't post, and if I don't do this, if I don't do that, then I'm not going to make any money, and then I'll die alone by the river. Like, and sometimes yeah, sometimes my brain just wakes up with that in the morning. I'm like, oh, there it is. My lower brain is activated for whatever reason, and we just need to return to center. And it's like, that's the constant work, and that informs my day. So sometimes it's like, okay, this is where I'm at. What do I need to do to actually be in the flow or be in the state where I create my results? Sometimes it's taking a nap. Sometimes it's going out. Sometimes it's taking a hot shower. Sometimes it's going for a walk. Sometimes it's going for my kids' football game. Like, they're all the things that get me living life, which there is a module, Love Your Life Now, in Time Hackers. And I think that's been my big lesson this year, is that, oh, there's no there when I make a certain amount of money. And I realized that after I started making multiple six figures, and I'm like, wait a second, why am I still under pressure? What is happening? This doesn't feel good. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's because you think at some point you're going to change this instead of changing the pressure. So my days are very fluid. Like, I have my Tuesdays and Fridays are mostly blocked off with white space. But even on the other days, other than my client calls, I'm very cognizant of how I'm feeling. I'm very aware of where I'm working from, like sort of like the fuel that's informing my results or the work that I'm creating. And I've just learned to hold space for that. Like, okay, this is the state that we're in, and this is the protocol for when we're feeling pressure or we're feeling scarcity, or if we're like, hey, we feel great, then we go and create something. But if I'm not feeling great, then my work is to do what I need, self-care, self-love, self-compassion, whatever I need to do there. So it's not that I'm not working, it's just that I've chosen to work on what feels good until it's time to work on the other things. So
Yeah, I think you really nailed it with like the fuel, like what's fueling you. And the moment we're like, oh my God, I feel like I need to rest, but I'm telling myself I have to go, it's just an opportunity to drop in and build the better relationship with yourself as like the steward of yourself. Like, I always think that like our number one job in the world, every single person here, every single person on the planet, like anyone could like be a coach, right? Anyone could, I don't know, train people to run marathons. Anyone could be a teacher. Like, those jobs don't define us, but the only one thing that only you can do, and you alone, is take care of yourself, right? No one else can make every decision for you. No one else can be with you all the time. No one else can influence how you talk to yourself. Our number one job is taking care of ourselves. And the moment we are like, I feel like I need to rest, but I am choosing to go, like, you want to check in with what that's going to create for you, really. Because as Shady said, and one of the things I think we speak about a lot in Time Hackers is like, the fuel is way more important than the action.
Yeah.
Right.
And the results are better.
The results are better, and you
The
feel
results
better.
are so much better, and it feels better. I make more money when I'm chill.
Yeah.
I make more money even when I'm not doing things. It's so weird. It's like, I will rest, I will relax, I'll connect with someone, and then someone will buy coaching.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds weird and like, but how is that the way? But it's the way.
It's the way. Yeah, it's so funny. Those of you that were in the first round of Time Hackers, we had a client in there, like every time she would take a bath, she would sign a client. Like, it's always stuck with me. Like, why must we resist so much the things that we are craving? And how is listening to what we crave actually helping? I can see we got a question on the Facebook page as well. It says, are you still coaching regularly yourself in Time Hackers, Vicky? So, I mean, I'm coaching myself. I'm applying the principles. I even rewatch the video modules, because this program, and you guys can speak to it as well, but this program was built around me, right? Like, my experience and what I needed. I just remember I created very fast results in my business that didn't make sense, because I'd always been told things took time. And I sat with like, if it wasn't time, because it clearly isn't, what is it that created these results? And then I looked at it for my work, and then I thought, well, what is it that created those results in my relationship? And what is it that created those results in my health? And what is, like, I really was like, if it's not time, I'm not allowed to use time. What else is it? And I built the program based off of it. So this is my blueprint to create results in every and any area of my life. So absolutely. And also, you spoke about the dating your goal. I don't always share my coaching inside Time Hackers, inside the Facebook community. Like, I'll speak about it, but I don't type in it. But are you still coaching regularly yourself? But with the dating your goal, when we are releasing that, you are getting access to the 30 days of self-coaching that I did, like me using the exact process from the first time I did it. So I'm literally going to be sharing my own coaching, which I'm really excited to do as well. We're just building out the back end of it, but it's going to be really fun. So I hope that answers your question as well, Helen. I can see we've got some questions in the Q&A box. IB. Hi, Ivy. I've learned that when I have lots of space, I intuitively work and rest in a beautiful rhythm for me. This has become so clear to me seeing how productive I've been on mat leave. I'll be honest, I'm afraid that when I go back to work, as if I'm not already working, start saying yes to opportunities, I just won't be able to have the space leisure I want and need. So I'm just going to touch on one thing, and then I'm going to definitely bring it to the experts, just because I'm in that space myself of like, we're taught this narrative of like being on maternity leave and then off maternity leave, which is like kind of like a roadblock instead of like allowing flow. If you think about like a river and a stream that just flows, it like separates you from on mat leave and off mat leave, instead of realizing you are the same person, and whether you are on mat leave or off mat leave is irrelevant. And what that tells me is you figured it out. The only difference is like a mental block that's like, which is what we're fed by society as women, let's be honest, which is like, you are different on maternity leave and off maternity leave, instead of saying like, oh, I figured it out and I'm the same water running through the stream, if that makes sense. But I also want to put it, so that's the bit I wanted to touch on, but I would be interested to hear what anyone else wants to say about her having space, knowing intuitively what to do, and then having the fear about losing that.
What I see, I was just reading that question, and what I could really see flowing through that question was so much fear. And it can feel so scary, and that need in capital letters. You know, I feel that so much because I used to feel that I needed so much rest, and that if I got tired, it was a dangerous place for me to be. I could not manage my emotions. My anxiety would go through the roof. My ability to control my impulses, you know, losing my temper. And it was scary for me. And it was like, I believed I needed all this time and space. But really what it is it's about trusting yourself. And I see flowing through that message, this fear that you don't trust yourself. And when you are letting go of the need for all this time and space to rest, because it's actually just all mindset. And when you let go of, when you're not resisting it all, you will have so much more energy and time. And what Vicky says so perfectly, which I wish I had access to this when I was on maternity leave, is like, you're one person in maternity leave and then you have to be someone else outside of it. So it's just mindset. And when you stop fearing and you start trusting, you're going to have all the time and energy you need. And, you know, the second question is talking about all the mess, and is Time Hackers the place? Yes, Time Hackers is the place to be your wild, wonderful, crazy self and get a lot of support. You know, you are so held in this community. It's the first place I ever was genuinely myself and shared all my murky thoughts, and it, you know, that changed everything for me.
Thanks, Naomi.
I'll answer Ivy's question. Hi, Ivy. I think Naomi really nailed it in the sense that it's self-trust. And I think you can really trust yourself or decide to trust yourself because you have actually created space and leisure for yourself already. You are already a person who creates that. And your first sentence was like, I've learned that when I have lots of space, I intuitively, like, you know what that feels like because you've created it. Obviously have created it multiple times in the past, not just on maternity leave. And so the coaching I would offer is that how can you go and find the evidence that you are already that person, have already been that person, and that right now your brain is just doing the normal thing that it does, which is to ask you, are you sure we're going to do it again? Even though we've already done it, your brain is just doing its thing. But just ask you the question, I don't know. We don't know if we can ever do this because it's afraid. and it's the lower brain. And whenever there's change or there's uncertainty, it just always does that. Not because there's anything to actually be afraid of, but because that's just what brains do. So I would offer that lean into the fact that you've already done this, you know how to do this, list all the evidence for how you've already done it to prove that you're just going to do it over and over again after maternity leave.
Love it. So good. Amazing. Okay, yeah, we have a second question. And if anyone wants, we do have time to bring someone on if you want to come on live and join the conversation as well. We're totally up for that as well. Okay, so anonymous question. Would time hackers be able to help us trust ourselves enough to show up, take messy baby beginner flailing steps to make sure that any investment I make, financial, including time hackers or anything else, any time and energy investments, will reap tons of multiples of returns because I can trust my capabilities and inherent capacity for goodness enough to keep going until I figure it out and make it work. Experiences, especially from people who tend to struggle with perfectionist or all or nothing or black and white tendencies, would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Are there people who do not suffer from that?
We've not found them.
I don't know. For sure, I think we all do. I mean, I definitely suffer from the perfectionist thinking every day. It's like literally writing an email. It's like, okay, it's not ready to go out, right? And I know I've been coached quite a lot in Time Hackers about being ready and what my brain thinks I need to be ready, or what my post needs to be ready, or my podcast needs to be ready. I think that's, it's a natural tendency of the brain to have black and white tendencies, because back in caveman days, you ate the wrong berry, it was 1 or 0. It was either a berry that kept you alive or a berry that killed you. And so we do have that. It's just your brain is functioning as designed when you have those tendencies. So just to call out that there's nothing wrong with you. You're human. That's it. Like everything you've described in here is just how the human brain is designed. So you are a perfect candidate for Time Hackers because you have a human brain. And literally what we do in Time Hackers is take the human brain as designed and work with it to say, hey, okay, now that we live in 2022, here's how we want to think about time. Here's how we want to think about our work. Here's how we want to approach our tasks or our goals, while having so much love and compassion for the fact that our brains work that way. So yes, I would say Time Hackers will help you show up and trust yourself and do all of the things.
Sade, the way you just said that, like how we work with our human brains, I just have to point that out because that is the pillar of what we do, but you phrased it so simply and so beautifully. When I think so often we're told to change our brains and like our brains are wrong and we should be thinking better. And the mindset work, my intention with the mindset work, and you guys can share about your experience of it, is to never like shame ourselves or think we need to be thinking something differently or think we need to argue with ourselves or shut ourselves down. And my experience entering into the coaching world was a lot of people struggling around me at arguing with themselves and arguing with having a human brain. And even, I used to have a lot of anxiety and panic attacks, and that was how I started with the coaching. And people would say to me like, how can I fix my kid? And I would say, what if you don't need to fix them? Can we just, just a lot of, I think sometimes the meaning behind the work that we do gets misled away from like taking care of yourself and making the most out of your life and creating results from a place of ease and, all of that stuff into like being a different person and being a more productive person and being a better person. It's like just holding space for what you just said of like working with your brain. I want everyone on here to think like, what would be different if you just drop the story right now that you ever had to change your brain? Like you just don't. So
yeah, and not having time to look after yourself. I think we have all come into Time Hackers not having enough time to look after ourselves. And what is going on there? You need to get really curious when you believe you don't have time for yourself. And so that was another huge piece of the puzzle that looking after yourself, being kind to yourself, compassion practice. Like I had to give away the gratitude practice because I used to use that to beat myself over the head. I went to a compassion practice and looking after myself and just treating time as if it was luxurious. I think Bridget coined the luxurious time phrase. Created so much time for myself because a rested brain is a million times more productive.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd just like to offer that we have people showing up messy all the time, not least us time hackers coaches. Like one week I'll be coaching and the next week I'll be in there crying about something. I mean, time after time, showing up messy. We've got a time hacker who wouldn't get coaching and has just recently started to get coaching and now is in there every week asking the questions she wants clarity on. So it's modeled for us all the time. And Vicky models it for us all the time. So showing up messy is like how we do things.
Yeah, I think another big moment for me was when you came on, Vicky, and told to us about how you just last minute cancelled everything you did. And that was like, oh, it gave me permission to like, because a big part of my journey was over scheduling and just, you know, the halfway step to learn to stop overscheduling was the moment I've realized I've overscheduled and I feel awful and I've got, you know, 6, whatever it is ahead of me and I feel awful. It's just to cancel everything with no drama. It's just stopping it all. And then, you know, that's the lesson that helps me not create, you know, because that result is created a month beforehand when I'm like urgently booking stuff in. But yeah, just that whole everything stops, like Sade says, fear doesn't stop me now. This is such a key one. It's the pressure, the urgency, everything stops when that shows up, but not the fear, not the safety thoughts. I still know how to process through them and keep taking action. And yeah, my game-changing breakdown moment in Time Hackers was when I publicly broke down over a free download. And that was a real moment for me. I'd never done that before. And that set me free, that moment, being willing to be in that state in front of everyone.
Yeah, that for me was like the biggest lesson the first time I held space for a group, like Time Hacker group, was realizing that like our strength is in our vulnerability and how can we make it safe for everyone to come and get what they need. And sometimes that means actually not picking up, you know, it doesn't always mean, you know, being open and vulnerable and loud about it. Sometimes it means hiding away from it until you're ready, or, you know, it's like everyone's journey is different and there's no right or wrong way. Some people are quiet in Time Hackers and then like will just create a post about how it's like changed their life, but maybe they've never been on any live calls, or they're like, I've not watched all the modules, but I watched one and that's already, you know. And I think it's really just about having a space where, like what Bridget said, like what everyone said, everyone here has shared kind of a breakdown that they've had in the community. Like when it's modeled, it creates safety for you to accept yourself. And that's the biggest time saver and time creator in the world, because the biggest time waster, and I have this on my website, the 4 biggest time wasters and how to overcome them. The biggest time waster is the time you spent talking shit about yourself. Like that is number 1, the biggest time waster, and it's the most common one. So if we just eradicate that by allowing yourself to be human, you already are like leaps and bounds ahead, not to mention what that does in terms of your decision making and your ability to fail and your creativity and all of that juicy stuff. Like you're going to get literally years back of your life just by stopping judging yourself, even for judging yourself, right? I shouldn't be judging myself. I should know better, all of that stuff. So thank you, everyone. I can see we've got another question. Naomi, read what Ivy said for you. That's amazing. And Sade, so good. And then Christine says, how often do you meet in Time Hackers? What's the format? Slack. Also love what all of you shared. Yeah, like this. We have weekly coaching calls just like this. They're They're every Tuesday, and like they might change in the future. We've played with different time zones before. We're always considerate of where people join from and how we can get the most people. You also get all past live coaching calls on a podcast now, and all the format on a podcast now, thanks to Kayla. So you've got a portal with trainings that you can watch on demand, kind of like a Netflix vibe. You get a whole workbook with like literally the questions that I've used, that everyone here has used to transform their relationship with time and create space and all the good stuff. And you get access to all my other trainings. So I think you get like the time investment sprint, you get the dating your goal workshop. You don't need to wait for us to re-release it. You will get it on demand. And we also have a dedicated community space where you can come, you can get written coaching, you can share your celebrations. We have 30-day challenges. We have one right now, which is like a very exposing one, which is super juicy time to learn. So it really is. And I will say that might sound like a lot to some of you, but you can literally pick what you want to do. And we'll always encourage you to do that. So there's no like shaming around what you're not doing. You literally get to pick it up. We had someone actually in the group just this week post like, okay, this is my first time I've been watching. I've been telling myself I have to watch all the videos before I ask questions. But now I've realized, like what Shady said at the beginning, now I've realized like, I'm a time hacker and I don't have to wait. So I'm asking my question now. We love it when it happens. So yeah, it's just really built. Go on.
Yeah, sorry. I remember we had one time hacker who said that actually she'd done almost nothing in the group, but just paying for it had completely transformed her relationship with time. It was like it gave her permission to be a time hacker.
And also, I'll just add to that, there was another lady in the group who never got coached, and I reached out to her and was like, hey, you know, why aren't you coming to the coaching? I was like, oh, there must be something wrong. And she said, oh no, I got everything I needed from the modules. I was like, oh, all right.
I love it. Yeah, it really is like there's everything, and to just do it your own way. And that's why also it's lifetime access, because I don't want anyone to join and think like, I've got to watch it all. Sometimes people come and they binge it, and that's fine too. But you also want to check in where that might be coming from, of like, I need an answer from this material versus like, there's so much here. There's everything I need here. So yeah, but I just want to obviously thank all of my amazing time hacker coaches, and I'll just give you all a bit of the insight into what I think when we think about, and maybe even you guys share what you thought the experience was going to be like, or the training was going to be like compared to how it was. Does anyone have anything to say on that?
What's the question again?
How the experience of becoming a time hacker coach or the training was compared to what you thought it was going to be?
Well, I would just quickly, I'll say I came in wanting you to tell me what to do with my social media. Do you remember? Yeah. I was like, what should I do? How should I do it? And you went, just stop.
Stop doing it.
Just stop. And I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what did I think? I didn't really, so I came in just to work with you, first of all, because that was really my thing. But in terms of the time, I thought, okay, well, this will be, productivity, there's be some time management, whatever, but Vicky's in it, so I want to just work with her. And I think what it really has done for me is that this ability to hold space for what my brain is doing is really what I've taken away from every coaching call, whether you've been the coach or another time hacker has been the coach, is like, there's never been like, okay, here are the 5 steps and here's what you do at the end. It's like, listen, this is what your brain is doing. This is why your brain is doing it. And how do you want to handle that? Literally every single time. And so I've just made friends with my brain. And I just wanted to say that's been particularly important for me this year, because I have just had the craziest year in 2022. And without being friends with my brain, I literally could not have handled like having my business and making more money. I'm on track to make about twice what I made last year this year, but while still having 2 teenagers move in with me with significant needs, just suddenly abruptly coming into my life. And then also having my brother pass away and having to drop everything and fly overseas for 2 weeks. And, all of that has, and then because my kids came to live with me, I had 2 court cases open at the same time in order to facilitate that. So the entire year, all these things have been happening at the same time. And I think the ability to hold space for all of that, sort of in this, like, none of it sucked me in. And I was able to like believe that whatever I did in my business would keep my business going. That was just like, it was sort of surprising for me to be able to see that. And I think it was just all the changes that I had made from being in Time Hackers last year and early this year that was just like, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Your brain can do what it does and everything is going to be fine. And that has just been incredible. And I know we didn't talk a lot about like, you know, family and work-life balance, but that's really what Time Hackers has done for me, in addition to just all the other things. It's just when life did happen, I was able to like really work with my brain to not freak out and to just keep moving through and coming out on the other side. I'm like, oh, wow, look at that. 2022 has been a shit show and amazing at the same time.
Good. Thank you for sharing. And I feel like that is life, right? Like it's coming for us. Yeah. Amazing. I can see we have more questions as well. And is it a monthly subscription? You stay as long as you like or a set amount of time? What time do you meet on Tuesday? It's like a one-time payment and then you're in for life, but we have just opened up a payment plan. So it's £3,000 or £330 a month until 10 months. So it's like, it's early days for the program. It's in its infancy still, even though people are, you know, creating amazing results from it. And we meet right now at 4 p.m. UK time. I think that's 11 a.m. Eastern. Yeah. So that's what our calls are right now. Amazing. All right. Does anyone have anything else they want to share or add or ask? Now is the time, including you wonderful coaches. I'll just check the Facebook again. And if not, okay.
I just wanted to say I worked with Vicky kind of well before Time Hackers. And I came into Time Hackers very addicted to time being the reason things weren't happening in my life, why I couldn't do things, why I was always behind in my business, why I never got work out on time. Time was like my sort of umbrella excuse for everything. And now I don't even really think about time. Like at the moment I hear my brain say, oh, but it needs time, my prefrontal cortex comes in with, but you don't need time, do you? It's not time that sorts this out for you. And the peace and calm that has brought me, like almost every minute of the day, because previously I would get up, I would work all the hours, I would work early mornings, I would work late evenings, and now I do about 19 hours in my business. I make more money than I have previously, and I do it in a way in which I am not leaning forward all the time. That's the sensation I have of leaning forward all the time previously. And now time doesn't really feature. Like when I hear the word time, I think, well, what is it really?
Yeah, for me to be truly present with my family and not working all the time is, you know, to think if I hadn't come to Time Hackers, I would be missing life, the most important stuff. It almost feels scary to think I came that close to just missing out on being with my loved ones, really being with them and enjoying being with them and not spinning about my business, because that is priceless.
Yeah. Amazing. All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming and showing up. And what we'll do is inside the Facebook group, we'll drop the links to join. Kayla will do that because she's amazing. And I just want to thank all of you really for showing up and for being true examples of time hackers and taking it on, and for sharing your stories here, which I know we can all relate to. And I just want to give you all the opportunity to tell people about you and a little bit about how they can find you and connect with you and work with you. Let's go. Should I call people out?
Yeah.
Go on, Naomi, I heard that.
I'm just so busy just responding to a question. See you in the group. Sounds like quite a few people are going to be joining. Yes, so I'm Naomi Stonia. I am a relationship coach. I love helping entrepreneurs break all the blocks in their personal relationship and watching that success flow into their business. And you can find me at plumocoaching.com. That is PLUMO coaching.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Bridget.
Yes, so I'm a coach for conservators and craftspeople, and I help them stop under earning and have more time in the business that they want to have. And I spend most of my time on Instagram. That's where you can find me, Bridget.Mitchell_, or my box making business is Arca Preservation. And that's where you can get hold of me.
Hey, Shady.
Right, I'm Shady Curry. I work with divorced women who are dating again. I help them find their ideal partner and create a relationship that lasts a lifetime. You can find me at shadycurry.com. So it's SADECURY.com. If you are not divorced and you're looking for a dating coach, I do have relationships with coaches who work with all sorts of people. So I would still love to talk to you and refer you to someone who can really help you, because like, I just believe that if a person wants a relationship, they should just really have one.
I love that. Simple and true. Kayla, my rock star. Go on, unmute yourself. No, not everyone can hire Kayla though.
No, but you can listen to my podcast. It's called Daily Steps Toward Success, and it can be found on all of those places that you listen to podcasts. And one thing that I did want to say is like, what's so cool about like working with Vicky is she lives the principles, and it's so apparent to see in all the things. One thing for me that used to like stress me out and I get panicky and all about it was like being sick. And she like told me, she was like, there's nothing in the business that's more important than you getting better. And like, just that is like, oh yeah, it is okay to be a human, you know, as things come up. So
I mean, yeah, it's funny because even we had like, I think on Monday, or there was like an American bank holiday and I didn't realize. And then I realized and I sent you a message and I was like, oh, like you like, just be off. If you're off, it's fine. Like, so just knowing that. And I think it's true. And actually you reminded me of something recently, which is when I went on maternity leave, because the baby came early, Kayla had planned vacation, which is fine. And then she got sick afterwards. So the business and these amazing coaches saw it through. What was it, 2-3 weeks? I don't know, because I was off.
yeah, it was like 2 weeks that neither one of us was working.
Yeah, and we're the only two people working in the business.
Yeah, we're the only two people there, so no one was
notice because the group just like keeps on going.
Yeah. And it's like we, you know, podcasts weren't put out, I think, and it's social media posts weren't put out, and if there weren't emails, they weren't put out. And it's just that's one thing I would love to say to everyone is like, take that message. Like, nothing in your work life is as important as your health. And I think there's a lot of, I mean, I see it. I have to stop myself from commenting when I see that, like, I felt ill and I showed up anyway. I'm like, why the fuck would we celebrate that? We need to start countering that with like, I felt ill and then I let myself rest and recover.
But also, you don't need it to make money. Look at Sade. She's had the craziest year. She's still making money. You've had a baby. You're still making money. It's not a requirement for making money. So it's even more of an own goal.
Yeah. And like actually what you said earlier, like not pushing through, I think creates way more success than pushing through. So I love that note to leave on. And I'm joking, you can hire Kayla, but not too many of you. All right. I love you all. Thank you so much for being here. I love you, coaches. Love everyone for showing up. We will drop the link inside the Facebook group, and maybe we'll get an email around with this video to the email list, and that will have the links as well to join. We would love to see you in the community. Bye.